Now, our reporter, Chriselda Lewis, has just returned from Ennerdale, and now she joins me in the studio. Chriselda, thanks once again. Good afternoon and welcome. Now, you witnessed what we would call a repeat of the violence that we saw during the last registration exercise. What was the situation like when you left the area?
Our situation is still very tense, Aubriel. You still got residents who are barricading the roads and burning tyres, saying that they want the Electoral Commission officials to leave the area. But they continue to be in that area, hoping that some people will go and register or check their status. That's being done, of course, under heavy police guard. So essentially, in both areas that were affected, at the Kapok informal settlement as well as the Hopefield informal settlement as well, both of those registration centres were disrupted. There was absolutely no registration taking place there.
But can you just walk us through really to the issues in that area? What really is at the core of this boycott in Ennerdale?
At the core of this issue at both of these informal settlements is a lack of basic services. What these residents are saying is that they've been waiting for services, simple things like electricity, simple things like housing for many years. They say they've participated in many municipal elections, many general elections, but absolutely nothing has happened in their area. So they're saying it would be a complete waste of time for them to go to any of these registration centres to check if they're eligible to vote. They're not interested in voting because as far as they're concerned, all the X's that they've put in the past have amounted to absolutely nothing. So we're talking about various promises. In one of the areas at the Kapok informal settlement, you've got residents who say they've been promised to be moved from the informal settlement to the nearby Lehigh houses. But what they allege is that there's massive corruption there, and people who had possibly been put on the list just last year were able to get new houses, while others who've been waiting for the past 10, 15 years have absolutely received nothing.
But just how widespread is this boycott? Why I'm asking, do we really have some small pockets of people or areas that want to register but are being deterred by the others?
From what we gauged last night, Aubriel, when we were trying to see perhaps where we should broadcast from, we were under the impression that the registration process would go ahead unhindered at Kapok, because there have been various negotiations with the local councillor to ensure that the residents did turn out to register. But when we got there this morning, residents essentially said that they're not going to participate in this. You do get a sense that there are just a few people who want to go out and register. They feel that perhaps they'd be able to make the change that they want to see via the ballot box. But that's now, of course, being hindered by the scores of other people who say anyone who goes near these registration centres will certainly be dealt with.
And talking of the registration centres themselves, do we still have the IEC officials there? And really, what are they saying? Or what are they doing at the moment? If
they're doing absolutely nothing, Gabriel, since they arrived this morning.
Wow.
All they could do was set up the tents that they're using to register people. Absolutely no one has showed up at any of these two registration centres where we were today. And essentially we spoke to the Gauteng Provincial Electoral Officer, Masigo Shiburi, who was there very early this morning. He said it was their responsibility to put up those tents and make sure that the infrastructure is there for anybody who wants to register to vote. But what they cannot do is go into the various townships and perhaps assure the community that their problems will be sorted out. So in terms of what their responsibility is as the IEC, they've fulfilled their mandate. The rest is up to the police and the various councillors in the area to ensure that perhaps tomorrow you might see people returning to the registration centres, but it's highly unlikely.
But what plans have been made, at least for now, to ensure the safety of those officials, the IEC officials?
There's quite a large police presence, Aubriel, a large police presence that several nyalas are shielding the electoral centres, the tents that have been set up, or also at the local halls where the registration process was meant to get underway. So there's very little damage that we've seen done to these registration centres, unlike the first round of the voter registration, where we saw the centre completely destroyed. Stones were being pelted at the electoral offices. So the police are really on hand to try and deal with the situation.
And very quickly,
point,
before I just let you go, do you think the situation will be similar tomorrow? And from your observations there, do you think people will vote at all come the 3rd of August?
Well, certainly residents have vowed to continue their action tomorrow. They're saying unless somebody with authority comes and promises them or takes them to the houses that have been that were promised so long ago, then the situation will remain the same at both the informal settlements, the Kapok informal settlement, as well as the Hopefield informal settlement. So police do have quite a task on hand.
All right, thank you so much, Chriselda. That was Chriselda Lewis there, my colleague and our reporter, giving us an update of the situation in Ennerdale in south of Johannesburg.